And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my DevNation friends. It's already a new show, and to be honest, it's the last show before we take a little break for the summer. And well, it's already show number, I don't know, I forgot to count. Number 28 or 29, so almost 30. For number 30, we will do something big. I don't know still what we will do. As usual, I'm in my garden. As usual, I don't have a perfect connection. I hope it will be better than 15 days ago. Let me double check on the there on the Restream side. Yeah, it's okay. Say hello in the chat. A lot of people are there. We have Mr. Shisho. Hello from Paraguay. Okay, awesome. I have a warning in my YouTube channel saying please check the video resolution. I have an issue with the resolution, but it looks like it's working pretty great. Okay, so anyway, what a year! What a year, my friends. It's almost 1 year ago that we started the first show, and oh, I see that my guest is gone. Where is my guest? Well, she will come back. She will come back, hopefully. Yeah, 1 year ago that we started the first show. It was in August. My first guest was Ray Tsang. I don't know if you were there. By the way, all the shows are on the playlist on YouTube. This summer you can relax and watch all the shows. We have awesome guests every week, every 2 weeks since Christmas. A lot of demos, crazy demos. We play games, so you can watch that. After the summer break, we will be back. We will play games again. I have some crazy device here. I will try to do a demo at the end of this stream. Let me just double check while why my guest is gone. Where is she? I have a message from her. Oh, her Chrome crashed. Okay, no problem. Her Chrome crashed. So let's wait. She can just click the link and she will be back. Let me see in the same time here in the chat. Oh, a lot of people in the chat. Oh, David is there. Aurélie is there. Amit. Cartit, Giuseppe, Edson, my friend, Rose, Mario. Awesome. Yeah. And David is asking, happy birthday. Is a show, a Kubernetes game for this achievement? Well, I have a few ideas in mind. Oh, and my guest is there, though. It's all good. She's back. I will bring her to stage in a few minutes, in a few seconds. Her Chrome crashed. Yeah, it happens. Let's see if it happens during the show. But if it happens during the show, don't worry. You just rejoin. Okay? So I'm really excited about our last guest of this season of the show. And it's Ana-Maria. And let me bring her to stage. Hello.
Hello. Happy to see you.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, you said this is the last show before the summer vacation, and I think Chrome has just said, I'm going into vacation as well, and bye.
Bye.
So, no more.
But you told me it's really hot in your today there in Romania, so maybe it has some effect.
Who knows? I mean, I have air conditioning. It worked all day long in the house, in the apartment, in all the rooms. But who knows? Luckily, now it's restored, and probably it's going to be the only issue of this session. I'm very happy to be here today with you and have this friendly chat.
I'm so
all the good stuff.
Yeah, all the good stuff. So, first of all, I call you Ana-Maria. That's correct, or just Ana? What is there? Do you have any preference, or just to know?
Ana is easier, and people call me Ana because it's shorter. I mean, I'm used to Ana-Maria for me.
Okay.
It feels a little bit of like formal.
Okay. So, Ana, that is my first question that I ask to all my guests is, Ana, who are you? The stage is yours. Take the time you want.
Okay. So probably, well, Sabi has introduced me already. I'm Ana, Java champion, and working as a solution architect for IBM. I'm passionate about Java, about cloud, about Kubernetes, a bunch of stuff. I like building stuff with the new technologies, and I'm passionate also about software architecture. and pretty much evolved into software architecture. Well, because I'm passionate a little bit about control, and that's how I got into the DevOps side and learning more about Kubernetes and others. Because, well, I wanted to know how I can control better how the infrastructure is working as well, not just the application code. And yeah, that's how I went into learning more probably than I should have.
Yeah.
And you said in one of your tweets that we're going to talk about Java, about cloud, and what makes developers happy. And I can say that, well, for more than 25 years, Java has made developers happy. It's one good starting point. And for me, it has made me happy since university when I had my first encounter with Java. Proud to say that my bachelor's degree, my master's degree included Java. Was one of the technologies used. I'm proud of using it for a lot of stuff. I'm probably not going to give up on using it. I love it. So that's one of the technologies that makes me happy. And others, well, are related to cloud, in the cloud native area, because I have some stories from my first jobs where there was no cloud. And I was thinking like, it would have been nicer. Things would be easier than this. There are for me like right now. And yeah, luckily, good stuff have come in our way, and our lives are easier right now. But yeah, so that's pretty much about myself and how I got here.
Yeah, oh, you got here. And I have one question. You say you are a solution architect. Can you explain to the people what that exactly is? Because maybe not everyone knows what a solution architect is.
Okay, I can tell from my role's perspective what it is, because every company has its own definitions. So what I'm doing, I'm actually managing from an architectural point of view projects that involve more than one technology. So not just Java, not just Kubernetes, but also I can involve other providers for creating a certain software or a certain platform. I work mostly on digital platforms, and I have to combine a lot of software as a service together with what I'm using. So that's why the title is Solutions Architect, because I'm working with a lot of stuff, and I should be able to like adapt to all the stuff that I'm working with, understand how they work, be able to explain to others what they're doing. And well, from time to time, I have to do POCs because, well, from my point of view, a good architect should be able to do a POC of what he or she is trying to build with something to prove to the team that, yes, it works. That's the way we should go. Not like, I think that would be nice to use, because I've heard some folks that have used that before, and well, it would be good for us to use it as well. So that's pretty much what my role is a fun role. It's a research role. I never get bored. I think I've met so many, I don't know, software as a service offerings and integrated with so many things, but it's fun. Like, I mean, you're never getting bored in such a role. And I'm still involved in delivery, because sometimes the solutions architect role is perceived as a pre-sales role, but in my case, it's not like that. I'm involved in delivery, so I'm working together with the development team, actually more teams, because yeah, and I'm still involved in like overseeing how the plan to deliver a piece of software is going against what we promised. Because I know that we're working agile, and I do agree with the agile approach, but in the end, a business customer would see something delivered at a certain date, like the big picture. They see the big picture. They don't see necessarily your sprints, or maybe they can see what you're doing in your sprints, and they see the outcomes and they see the progress, which is great. But for them, I think the most important part is like to see that the progress is going along with the sprints towards the end goal. So also making sure that things are getting to the end goal in the amount of time that was promised, most of the time by the subject.
So you're still there, even if things goes wrong in production, you're still there to help as well?
Yes, I am. Those are the most, I don't know, the adrenaline moments, because pretty much I'm present in the calls with folks that are half technical. I mean, half of the people that are on those calls are technical, the other half is business. And the challenging part is like to express yourself, not too technical, but not too business, and all the sides should understand what you're saying. And of course, all the time you have to, be calm and have solutions with you. And yeah, it's a very interesting role. However, challenging situations that do not appear that often. I think that thanks to software, I don't know, some frameworks and whatever has been invented in past years, the probability for us to fail is less and less. Of course, if you are like, preparing yourself, envisioning how things should go at each level of delivering a certain feature, and committing to each feature the same, I don't know, seriousness and responsibility, and not like thinking, yeah, it's going to work anyway, it's never going to fail. But yeah, I'm also after production. It's fun also after production, but I can say that, especially now we're talking about big systems and systems that are based on microservices, because this is the distributed architecture that we all love at this moment. The work doesn't end when you're, like having an integrated platform, but actually the work continues afterwards, because especially with microservices, you're continuing to innovate. It's normal. Frameworks improve themselves. You want to improve and go ahead. Java improves itself, and you have to keep up with what's going on in Java. So you cannot just say, yeah, we've done the job and now we're going, and say bye. Take care.
Yeah.
It's a very, very nice position. Although sometimes some colleagues of mine say that it's uncomfortable, but I like it. I like to do different things in what I'm doing, and I'm still coding, by the way. For that, I'm not sure if that was implied.
Yeah, well, you say you are doing POCs sometimes for clients. That's probably the most. One of your preferred moments when you write. I remember when I was doing the proof of concepts, I really liked it, and sometimes it even started as you show the POC to the client, and then they really used it, and you had to build on the POC, and it ended up, and we still had monoliths at that time. So yeah, so.
Well. Another thing that besides the POC, I'm also taking tasks that nobody wants. Because yes, I'm not sure if this is the right approach, but I love democracy in a team, and if nobody wants to touch something, it's fine. It ends up with me or the technical lead, so it is fine. I'm not afraid of challenges. So pretty much that's what I get. What nobody wants.
Nobody wants. Hey, that's all the Java applet needs to be fixed.
No, what are you talking about right now? I haven't seen one of those in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not the case.
And I was wondering, because a few months ago I had Holly Cummings on the show, sure. And she's working with the garage, the IBM garage stuff. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to work with those garages? And is there a link or?
Yes, I have collaborated with the division that Paul is part of. So 3 years ago. So yes, we do collaborate with them. It's the methodology that's being used also in my business unit. So the methodology of the garage is being shared across the business units from what I've seen. And we do collaborate. And we have a little bit different responsibilities when it comes to going to customers. But in the end, we do know each other. We have collaborated with each other. It was cool. And I pretty much love the methodology of garage. So.
Okay. So, hey, you said you're still coding. So let's talk about Java a bit now.
Okay.
So when did you start with which version of Java did you start it?
I'm a very lucky person. I started with 6.
With 1.6.
So I started with 6 in university. had a class. I wanted to learn Java because I've heard about it, and I had a class ahead of the official class in the university, and the guy that was teaching the class was a really passionate teacher, and I got to understand Java really, really well. I mean, it matters a lot to get somebody that is passionate about that. And that's how I got into Java, and afterwards I just pretty much did my own research for my thesis, and ended up with Google Web Toolkit. At that time, it was a thing. It was a big thing, and it was really cool. The funny thing is that I wrote the code for my thesis, but 1 year after I graduated and I had like experience in the field, although it was with PHP, I looked again at my code and I was so embarrassed because I don't know how could I've written such an ugly thing. I mean, It was working, and I did use some patterns, but it was not cannot be compared with what I was working with, even though it was PHP. It was a PHP, object-oriented PHP. And the object-oriented, philosophy was still there with what I was working. And I was thinking, like, how did I manage to do this? I still have it on my old computer. I'm keeping it like from memories. I didn't change it, by the way, because I wanted to have it like that so that I can remember where I started and how I started. And I'm proud to say that my the one for the master's, it was different because I was already having experience, and that one I'm prouder, much more prouder than the first one. But yeah, the first one was, I wondered how in the name of God I was thinking to write something so ugly. What was in my head? But yeah.
Same happened with me a few weeks ago. I was at my parents' place and I was in my room where all my stuff from school and I found some leaflet from my engineer school, and there was also some Java code that I printed out for you. Still at the time you had to give printed code to the teacher, and he was giving marks on your code, and it was a swing application, and well, the code was also really special. I said, was it me writing this? And but yeah, I also keep it. It's really, as you say, really good to keep it, and so you know where you start from. And now, where are Java 1.6? Are you using Java 16 now?
Just for some POCs of mine and so on, because production-wise, I think Java 11 is still widely accepted. And I mean, from my point of view, when I'm pushing forward certain things, I would rather go for, the long-term releases. Yeah. However, I'm keeping an eye on what's going on in the ecosystem, and I'm actually preparing things together with the team ahead of time, because right now it's going to be a super huge hype to the next long-term release. And I don't want to have like, I don't know, it's going to be an explosion of a surprise, like, oh my God, so many things have happened. And that's a good advice I can give to people, like always plan and try to exercise how your migration is going to be, and be prepared. Maybe it's not in your production. I mean, some things can stay out of your production, but keep them there so that you can easily pull that out, and it makes your life easier when you're trying to migrate. And people, we're going to the business and tell them, like, hey, let's move to the latest, and they're not getting an estimation like it's going to take us a few months, years, light years to get there. It's going to be, it's better to be prepared and think ahead of time, and also be a little bit obsessed about clean code and thinking out how that's going to be migrated in the future. Always use unit tests, by the way, because otherwise you're going to be having a nightmare. And thank God, thanks to SLAs and many other nice tools that some people believe that they're restricting developers from doing bad stuff, but they're not. They're actually guiding us to do the good stuff. You can easily do that right now as a developer. Some people believe that SonarQube is still something that is restricting us from doing bad things, but it's not like that. It's actually a very, very good tool for us to see that we're doing the right thing. It validates us and boosts our confidence that we're doing the right thing. But yeah, it's so these are kind of the practices, the normal practices that we're doing, and we're pretty much liking it. So we still like Java.
Yeah, and I so you more or less answer the question. So you are looking for migration stuff. So I assume that you are looking at the latest features that came out since Java, 15, 17. I always ask these questions, and so there are quite a lot of great new things. Is there one feature that you really like sealed interfaces or records? Is there one feature that you really say, oh yeah, I was waiting for that? Or
well, I like all of them, but records especially. In I probably people don't mind saying this, but I love coding with IntelliJ, and it kind of makes my life easier as a developer, learning new things and refactoring and all these things. From nowadays, with a good IDE, you can easily learn what's new, so you don't have to be that worried, like you have to do a lot of practice and how much time it's going to take for you to learn the new things. And there are so good tutorials about this, and a lot of folks are, just explaining the transition of things into your code. So you just have to search, and they're pretty much, I think, at the first Google link that you're finding, you're going to find some good tutorials on how to do that. And well, practice makes it perfect. So practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
That's another advice that I can give to people. And also, we're talking about Java, but I'm also keeping an eye on what's going on other areas as well, with other releases as well, what's coming up with our APIs and Kubernetes, and and not only. Yeah. Well, it's as an architect, I believe that you're always having to analyze your architectures. I believe that that's one of the characteristics of a good architect. You're always analyzing what's going on with your system, and you're always doing research, and you're keeping up with what's new. And you're not expecting for those news to come to you, or maybe they come to you as a newsletter if you are subscribed to a lot of stuff like I am. But you can also Google and see, or follow the folks that you are really, really interested to follow, and you know that they're contributing to those things to get to know what's going on in the ecosystem. That's an advice I have for architects. Always be one step ahead of the next thing that you're going to build. Never settle for you're in a good place, your application is in a good place, it's fine, it's going to work like this forever. Also, security-wise, and probably you've known this and you've seen the news that that there were more attacks, especially if you are working on platforms that are exposed through the internet. You are much, much more vulnerable nowadays. So always pay attention to what your image scanners are saying to you. Always pay attention to the problems. Do not ignore them. Fix them. So it's very important to be up to the teeth with security as well. Otherwise, you're just leaving the door open for bad people to enter your code. Not only your code, but stealing data and all these things. So yeah, that's the job. But I'm not doing all these things in the same time. So I'm
Hey,
that was.
Yeah. Let me take a look at the chat, if something happened in the chat. So we have Rose that says, I'm a new DevOps engineer that just finished training from the United States of America. So congratulations. And
Nice.
she said, I'm planning to do my resume and start applying, but I'm not yet ready. Okay, so like Anna said, practice. And
well, I can say what I've done when I was in the beginning. So I was looking for a job in 2009, right after the financial crisis, and it was very challenging for me to find a job as I didn't have any experience with anything. So what I did, I actually wrote it on my resume. On my CV, the projects I had in the university, the projects that were important, that were relevant at that time for employers. At that time, the GitHub profile was not that important, at least here for the market here. So for me, that has helped me to get interviews and to be interviewed and, be able to see what's available there. And I can say that it was pretty tough to get a job, because the job market was really small, and people with experience were preferred. But I never gave up. So never give up. Just continue to apply. So try to do like that. Nowadays, even contributing to open source and having a good profile, GitHub profile with your personal projects can help you to be hired. I've seen such examples in some CVs I received, and it's great to just go click a link and go and see what the person is doing, so that you get a feeling of how they're coding, how they would integrate in the team, and so on and so forth. So just list your personal projects. And I think people can see from what you're describing there for those projects that if you really did those, if you're really passionate about what you did there, and of course they can ask you for an interview. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Great advice. Let me go on the chat. Sumya, he's asking a question about Keycloak. It's not in the scope of this. Send me a tweet, send me an email. I will be happy to help you about Keycloak. Let me see. Brave Man say, did he say Java serverless? Yeah, maybe we mentioned Java serverless. Serverlets are still great. We are still all using them when we are doing Java.
Of course.
Yeah. And Aurélie, she says GWT. Oh my God, yeah. I know, Aurélie, that you also did a lot with Google Web Toolkit. I wanted to mention you when Anna said that, but yeah. Okay, DevNice is super. Okay, it's on his replying. Oh, there's how do one become an architect? What are the steps to take? So we have a question.
Okay.
More or less answer, but you can add some more stuff if you want to. How do you become an architect?
So I've been to an architectural thinking class like 3 years ago, and it was explained to us that you can become an architect not just from being a developer necessarily before. The idea is that you should be having a good vision on how you would design a system, how you would split a system in components, have a good understanding of the requirements, and be good with modeling. So pretty much these are the requirements. There are a lot of classes, there are a lot of good books, by the way, books that I've read, and are really, really good on becoming an architect. But if I can say about my path, so I was first a technical lead, and afterwards I stepped into architecture. The reason being, from senior dev, you get the technical lead because you have experience with a senior, you know how to be autonomous, and you can think also how others, or high level, how your app should be split, or how the responsibility should be split, and so on. So you have a better view. And afterwards, when you're in the technical lead role, it's easier to adapt to the modeling part, to the design part, just leaning more into analysis and research. And anyway, as a technical lead, you do some research, which is that when you're stepping into architect role, you're doing a little bit more research, and you're letting go a little bit to the implementation. I mean, that thing, what I said, I'm still coding and I'm still implementing what others don't like. It's just a personal choice. I'm not saying that everybody should do the same thing. It's up to you and up to your time. But for me, this was the path. But I also know colleagues that were coming from design, I think, and they stepped into architecture. It's just depending on how you have vision over creating solutions and so on. Some people believe that, well, if you have a developer role, it's better because you know the technologies. Can be. But in the end, as an architect, you should be able to adapt to whatever is coming. A lot of things that I have interacted with, I haven't worked really had worked with them and had experience with them. I just had to integrate with them. So I don't really need to care that much about actually working with them. So it's more about adapting, doing a lot of research and analyzing, of course, participating in some meetings. Be a good negotiator, by the way. That's also for the technical lead role. So you have to be a good negotiator, but especially in the architect role, and paying attention on what you're negotiating, because you are the person who's sitting between the team and the business most of the time. So there's always going to be somebody wanting more, somebody not being able to meet their thing, and you have to be there mediating these things, and you have to negotiate these things for the interest of both parties, not just one, like siding with the developers and not siding with the business and so on. So you have to side with both parties. So I think I read in one book that an architect should be a little bit good with politics. Yes, well, I believe that you should be polite when you are talking to somebody. And one trait that I appreciate a lot in fellow architects is being patient and accepting when others are not agreeing with you. I had colleagues who were very upset that people did not agree with their vision. But I also had good mentors who taught me that when people do not agree with your vision, probably either they didn't understand fully your message and you have to rephrase your message. And sometimes people believe that that's very difficult, like rephrasing your message. I mean, saying the same thing second time with different words. But yes, you have to do that as an architect. Sometimes you have to do it even the third time. I mean, I had business folks who we were preparing a presentation because something bad happened. And we had to prepare a presentation for upper level. So I was told and given feedback, and I appreciated that it was too technical what I said in those slides. So it was too technical. And I had to rephrase it, but not in the sense like it's losing its technical substance. It's very difficult when you're going on this edge. Like you're kind of thinking, why am I doing this? Because I'm not technical anymore. I'm just having, but those other folks on the other side, they also have to understand what's going on. And yeah. So I would say that books help you a lot. Experience helps you a lot as a developer, but not only. You just have to love seeing the big picture. That's what I think. Yeah. If you want to see the big picture, you are easily going to transition into architect. And of course, find a mentor. I had mentors, I mean, on the architectural path, because without mentors, it's impossible. I've also been feeling that I'm not right for this job. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I think 2 years ago, I was wondering if I am actually doing this job well, maybe it's not for me, maybe I should stick with the code. Because I had questions, and my questions and my insecurity was coming from the lack of experience. And thankfully, fellow colleagues that were architects before have explained to me that I was complicating the view of things, and I was complicating my life as well. And they have taught me on how to look at things, and it's way more different, and way different when somebody's like patiently explaining to you, "Hey, take your time. It's not a race. You don't have to be perfect."
Yeah.
And yeah, I do admit many of my diagrams in the beginning were not perfect, but it's fine. I got feedback. And my first documents, my first artifacts, I think I redid them 6 or 7 times before actually submitting them for the first time to the client. So don't get me wrong. And afterwards, by the way, after I've done them, I also had to, reiterate over what I did there. Because it's not like you did it one time and it never changes. Well, guess what? Your system evolves. You have to change the artifacts as well. So yeah, it's always with patience and accepting the feedback, because nobody's like telling you like to block you. It's just giving you feedback to enhance yourself. And I do remember that. I think it was the time that I was doing them for my first diagrams, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Why? But I do recommend my mentor, who has mentored me also for the architect batch from Open Group. He's an amazing person. And he was the one who has guided me and always so patiently explaining to me what I can improve and what was missed from what I was doing. So.
Yeah. Okay. I'm checking the chat at the same time, and Braveman thanks you and said solid advice. Thank you. Kartik is also giving a definition of solution architect. And oh yes, Samuel is asking any architect book recommendation.
Oh yeah, building evolutionary architecture. Hope I'm not messing the titles. I have them in my library paper. It's very good. It's by Patqua and Neil Ford, if I'm not mistaken.
Neil Ford, yeah, I found it. Yeah. I'm googling it, and I will the link.
Yeah, that's one of the first that I would recommend for people to read, because that one is kind of solidifying for you the architectural the architecture types that are there, and it's explained for everybody to understand. Like it's not it's not using a heavy English, or it's very too techy, or for certain folks. This next one is a newer one, also from Neil Ford and Mark Richards. I think it was launched in 2020 in February. I think Software Architecture Fundamentals. That one is bigger. I read it in an online format, that one. It's an extraordinary book. I think it's mapping very well for the philosophy of an architect. It's more of, I would say that it's combining the philosophy also with the architectural styles. So and both of the things. I love reading that. Other books, well, I'm reading a lot of books regarding infrastructure, because there are also infrastructure patterns that I had to dig into and read. And yeah, you have to combine not just architecture. You just have to also look into the patterns that are available for certain parts of your system, for infrastructure, for building applications, for improving your Docker images, and so on and so forth. But yeah, from architectural point of view, these are the two that I would recommend definitely for reading.
I've pasted the link in the links in the chat so the people can check it out.
Thanks.
And let me see, in the chat, it's talking about imposter syndrome, but I saw that already replied. She did a lot of talk around that topic, and she has some great advice. Let me check the time. We're almost out of time, but I still want to speak about the cloud.
Okay, let's go.
Even cloud native, or what is cloud native for you?
Well, for me, cloud native is everything that I don't know. It will make my life easier when dealing with building and deploying an application. I don't want to give like the I don't know, theoretical definition and so on. So for me, cloud native means life made easier. That's the thing. And everything that makes my life easier for me, it's going in that. I think that in this cloud native is the buzzword, another buzzword besides microservices in nowadays. But speaking about cloud native, you cannot just jump from a legacy or premise, old on premise, to cloud native. Just take a jump and that's it. There's always, you need to make yourself a mapping, a route. Oh, hello.
He was there.
Oh, so cute.
He loves cloud native. He loves cloud native.
Cool. And yes, I think the ecosystem of the cloud native is still growing, and is growing for our benefit as developers, and not only developers. It's growing for the benefit of all the people. So pretty much, if you want to take the hype and going cloud native, like sounds very, just look into what will help you to modernize what is currently happening with what you're building. And speaking of modernization doesn't happen all at once. It happens gradually. And one thing that I would like to mention is that when you're doing things gradually from old ways of working or older architectures to newer architectures, some things need to be absorbed by the new architecture in terms of making things better. So what you'll see sometimes is that, like, if you're integrating some very nice microservices that you made with some old third-party app, maybe the old third-party app has some outages, and you have to absorb that part of outages on your side with the microservices and think of like how you're going to resolve the problems when the legacy app is not available, so that you can offer your end users still that functionality. Like, I don't know, maybe think about caching, thinking how you handle that failure. And that's one of the things, the unavailability when you're building stuff. Some people are getting annoyed because they're thinking like, but I thought that we're building something new and cool, and I still have to think to the problems of the old one. Why do I need to still think about the problems of the old one? But that's how you actually build the new cool stuff, by fixing in the meantime the problems that the old one had. Otherwise, your end users and of course your business users are going to see that you've built a shiny new thing that sometimes it has problems because it integrates with something with problems, and they're probably going to think like, this was a mistake for us. It's not a good thing. So if you're going on this path, I would say to continue and to like absorb also the responsibility that comes with going on this path.
Yeah.
But it's rewarding. I mean, when you are when you're going into this, it's very rewarding. Even if you're like not changing the entire ecosystem, like making everything new. Especially for the big companies, it's very difficult to make everything new and fast. But when you're making things new and you're seeing the improvement, you're actually getting the buy-in of so many folks that are trusting the new architecture, they're trusting your new pattern, and they're going and they're like saying, yeah, this was the right choice for us. We should invest more into doing this, and we should listen to those developers that like to do those kind of things and work with those technologies and leave them to do that because it looks like it's the right way. Another thing I want to mention when moving to cloud native, you have to be honest. So if you are working on a software project for your own company, be honest with yourself. What's not making you happy? What you're building right now, not put things under the rug and just build microservices and hope that it's going to work, because you just hided everything. And I've seen this happening. People not admitting what didn't work for them. And just trying to hide it, and maybe next time when you're going to build a new system, it's going to magically repair the problems that were before. Most of the time, problems that are not mentioned there are coming up. So they are coming up at some point. And even I've seen this with customers, for example, with requirements. I appreciate mostly the user requirements that are not like I don't know, by the book user requirements that architects expect. The honest user requirements that some business folks that are giving to you are more honest than the other type. And they can give you like some ways to maneuver the system. Even when you're not having all the details of what you're coming to build, you can still propose things. And that's another beautiful thing of being an architect and working on new stuff and not knowing everything about the new stuff, is that you can propose your own vision. And I encourage people to go on this path, like embrace what you don't know, because you can put your own vision into that. And you can actually propose that cool thing that you've heard at the last week conference. And maybe they will go with that and give that a try for the missing parts. So that's one thing that can be done, because a lot of developers, and I've heard that back in the day when I was a developer, but the architect decides the technologies. And once the architect decided the technologies, they are never changed. And we're getting bored working with the same things. I was in that field like 10 years ago, thinking this is never going to change. I don't like it. But nowadays, I think that we're all equal, and developers can propose. And actually, that's expected from developers to propose technologies. I am surprised by people that propose for me to do different things, to use different libraries. I accept that. I like that. I like to know what's the cool thing that you've discovered and makes my life easier, compared to going with what I know and just going with my own vision. And this is the beauty of like having democracy and people telling you what they like to do, what they've heard, and also that's what makes it, I think, a great team. Like an architect listening to what the developers are saying and not just being like, yeah, we're doing that because I'm the architect. And I decided that that's a very, very problematic path from my point of view, because you are human. You cannot know everything, and you can make mistakes. So, and I always believe that developers are the true experts because they're on the field, they're on the ground, and they discover the situation better than me. Because maybe I have a conversation with somebody about some kind of API, and they're saying me all the good stuff, but when they're working with that API, they discover that it has different parameters or behaves differently than discussed. And situation is changing, so always have a good relationship with the development team. That's another advice, and also with the QA team.
It's really important, yeah.
Because
let me check the chat, and we have to wrap up. But I have two questions for you from the chat. First one, do you have any recommendation for modeling tools for architecture?
Oh yes. If you want to go with notations, I would say go for a UML.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go, if you like Archimate, you can use Archimate. Archimate is based on Eclipse. It's open sourced. The Archie notation is well known. I would recommend that, but always make sure that everybody in the team knows the tool. Because if you're the only one who loves the tool and the rest of the team doesn't know the tool, it's going to be a dead end. The diagrams that you're making, what you're modeling, it has to be modified. It will be very, very, very often modified. So you don't want to end up being the only person who can do that, because you're going to be a bottleneck. And when you're going on vacation, there are going to be people calling for you. We need to modify that. Hey, how are you? How's vacation? Would you like to modify something for us? So if you want to go by notations, you can use these. But if you need to be understood by everybody, and you see that not everybody has the same understanding, and your audience is not just technical, just use something that makes sense for them. Squares in PowerPoint or Word and ovals and everything, but it's something that makes sense for everybody in your audience. That's something that also got from the architectural thinking class, that the best diagrams are the ones that are understood by your audience. It doesn't matter the tool. Nobody cares how nice it was, the tool, how much time you spent in Visio to make the diagram, to make it that nice. In the end, if people do not understand and have a clear vision of what is going on in the system with the diagram, it's not going to have value.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And last question, and then we have to wrap up. And nothing to do with architecture. Someone is asking, what for chair do you have? Because your computer chair.
It's a massage.
It's a massage. Oh.
Yeah, it's a massage. It's a cover. It's a massage cover from Medicana. And it's very nice. Some friends of mine in Belgium had it, and I bought the same model for this one. It's just, it's very nice because you can put it also on the sofa, so it's not just for chairs. It also can work with sofas. So I would recommend it. It's very, very nice, making good neck shiatsu massage for the neck, and it's really good.
Okay, awesome. So with this, I want to keep 10 minutes because I promised people to show a bit of this stuff. So we have to wrap it up. It was awesome. You give so many advices. Yeah, the chat was really active. That is great. A lot of people were there, by the way, today. This is great in the middle of September. Yeah. So I would like to thank you so much. Enjoy some PTO if you have some PTO. Otherwise, yeah, good luck. And I'm sure we will speak soon. And
Sure.
yeah, and enjoy the rest of your evening now, because we're on the
Thank
same
you.
time.
Thank you.
It was awesome. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. Have a beautiful summer, everybody, with less hotter temperatures compared to mine. And enjoy your vacations. They're all deserved. Bye.
Bye. So that was great. So I have got just 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left. Let me check here the chat. Nothing less in the chat. Yeah. Let me try it. I promise you to show you this device. This device. I got it yesterday. No, 2 days ago. Yeah. What is it? And for the first time ever, you will see me without a hat, a cap. Now you understand why, because I'm almost out of hair. But anyway, I do it for the science. Let me put that on my head. And what this thing can do is read my brain waves, okay? Let me share my screen and I will explain you everything. Let me see if it's well connected. Looks like it's connected. Let me share my screen. There we go. I share my screen. Okay, so we are here in Inception mode. Let me see if people are still there. Okay, awesome. So this thing is connected to my brain. And I can go to the developer console. Oh, it's offline. Really? Why is it offline? Let me reload that. That's too bad. Should not be offline. I'm a bit far from my Wi-Fi. That may be the reason. Let me see. It's offline. Let me double check. Why are you not connected? Okay, anyway, let me explain what should happen. When you think about stuff, you produce brain waves, okay? And these can be collected by this device. And you can train this device, okay, to recognize some thoughts. Thoughts is really hard for me to say that in English. Oh, it was online a few minutes ago. I turned it on, but I'm probably too far from my you know what? Anyway, let me turn it off and turn it on again, because that is how it always works. Anyway, once you are able to collect this, you can do several stuff with it. And one thing that you can do is use the SDK, because yes, there is an SDK. Okay, so for instance, you have some trainings. Here I train the drop, the move forward, right hand pinch. So these are things that you have to imagine in your head. And then you can trigger whatever you want when you think about this, okay? And then you can put that in your code. So I have some code here to show you. But more basically, what is happening here, this is Node.js code, so I have to learn JavaScript again. But anyway, the library is called Notion, because that was the previous name of this device. That was called a Notion. This one is called a Crown. Okay. Anyway, you create an instance of it, and then you can do something like this: Notion.kinesis. Okay. And here the thought that I was thinking was when I drop something, but it could be left thumb finger, because this one is working pretty well, I think. Oh, he was there. Okay. And here I say, if I'm thinking about that, and that you think the probability that I think about this is above 80%, go into do a console log, okay? And this portion of code should happen only if I think about this stuff. Sounds crazy, no? It is crazy. Let me see if I manage to connect it now. Oh no, it's not connected, because my challenge was today to think about a thought, put a breakpoint, and go to the breakpoint. But for some reason, it's not getting a connection right now. But you know what? When we're back after the break, okay, I will have the whole summer to play with that. I'm planning to do some games, some crazy stuff about it. Yeah, it cannot connect to the network. That's the issue. But I plan to do some crazy stuff. First thing I will do is deploy a pod in Kubernetes with my brain. Yes. Okay. And I'm sure I will manage to do that. Let's take this challenge. Next show, I deploy a pod in OpenShift with this device. Okay. Anyway, too bad I didn't manage to get it working. Let me see. Yeah, he's vibrating. That means that he cannot recognize but it's crazy stuff. It's crazy technology. I've been waiting months for that, and yeah. Anyway, let me stop the screen share because it has no sense, and I promise I will come back. Wi-Fi is on holiday. Yeah, you're correct, Aurélie. Let me stop the screen share. So let me come back here just to conclude. Well, the show. I have to give back the channel in 5 minutes. Another stream is going on the Twitch channel, not on the YouTube channel. If you are on the YouTube channel, anyway, it has been a huge pleasure this whole year doing all those shows, all those great guests. We had so many great discussions. Again, I said it in the beginning, but I said it again. Go on our YouTube channel, subscribe, and check for the playlist of the show. Okay, you have also a playlist of the tech talks that Edson hosts, and you have the shows. So plenty of stuff to watch this summer, but also relax. We had some weird period. We all worked hard. It was not the easiest period of our lives. So also please be sure to take some rest. I'm on PTO tomorrow evening. And to be honest, I'm really happy about it. I really need a break so I can relax, spend time with my family. I hope you will be able to do the same. Let me check in the chat if there anything else. No, nothing else. Okay. So it's time for me to wrap up. Next week, I don't know. Yeah, yes. Next week there's a tech talk. Maybe Edson can confirm it, see if he's still there. Tech talk that was supposed to happen last week, but it was the Akamai outage worldwide, and so you the tech talk could not happen, but it will happen next week with Ivan Shortis about managed Kafka streams. So next week, same time, be sure to be on this channel. Until then, I wish you an awesome day, awesome evening. Please stay safe and see you back in September. Bye-bye.